Hey guys.
Yo.
Good afternoon.
Hello. Hello.
I think everybody's more or less here. We'll see if other people still come in, because I think we have 1 or 2 or 3 seats still available. But anyway, thank you all for being here today. Incredible to see our Lux and Steve Connect crowd grow, so we can talk about music, because that's our most favorite thing in the world. So thank you all for being here today. What we're going to do today is actually, well, we are going to do a lot of things, but what we're going to do here in this classroom is play some new music, and also talk about music that you guys created, right? Because we also have our demo drop 2.0 concept, where we want you to send your music, send your stems. We have a nice lottery ball in here, so we will grab one of the names, and if we grab your name, we're going to open up your project and just see how we can maybe have some feedback, tweak some stuff. But first of all, we're going to kick off with our new record. Actually, we're going to release this one in January, so it's super fresh from the studio. We've played it, I think, about 2 times. We're going to just open up the file and want you guys to be involved in this, and especially to ask questions if you have any questions.
Yeah. So if you have any questions already, then just shoot. But for now, this is the record that we want to start with. It's an old sample from Chic called Good Times. Let me check. Chic, good. Nice to see you. Probably. Alright. Heb je even
Yeah.
Chic. There you go. This is the original. Woo! And actually, we didn't use like the whole song or the sample as the saxophone and the drums, but we only used the vocal part of the drop that they had. So that's actually the chorus, and it sounds like this.
Good times. Good times. These are the good times. A new state of mind.
So that's where we build a whole song, a new one, and that sounds like this. In January, doing the final tweaks, probably after ADE, because we wanted to test the song during ADE, because it's pretty important to test these kinds of songs, how it works on crowds. And so we played it last week for the very first time on Tomorrowland in Brazil.
Yeah.
And that went off, so then we can grab it back to the studio and do some final adjustment. But I think we're almost there, probably 95%. Some final mixing stuff.
Yeah.
And then ready for release.
Exactly. That's also something we would recommend for everybody, right? If you have a record that you're about to release, or you think it's gonna be, you're onto something, just play it in front of a crowd. If you have a crowd, doesn't matter if it's like a small party or a festival or whatever, just see the crowd's reaction is one thing, but you will also feel, you will learn to feel, is this record solid? Does it need more build-up? Sometimes we even just get a demo on our USB stick and play it in front of no crowd at all, but then at our DJ booth at home, just to see what it feels like to actually play it. And then 9 out of 10 times you're like, we need an extra part in the break or in the drop or whatever. And it just it's a thing that helps us a lot.
Yep.
So yeah, with regard to the record, let's see what are the most interesting things, what stands out besides the vocal, of course. Might be interesting to have a look around, look at the vocal, because you can do many things with only a very small piece of vocal. Steve just played the original song, right? And I think that things that he played and aren't even included in this song, but still it's possible to use a small part of the vocal to derive a lot of elements from, right? So this is kind of how it is in the original. Yeah.
Good times. These are the good times. A new state of mind. These are the good times.
Yeah, so we went a little bit creative with that, and the first time it's popping up is right at the intro. So here you can hear that it's already chopped up, right? Just simple chopping, duplicating, and adding some reverb, and you have a nice new element. It's kind of one of the hooks that we have, because you hear it in the intro twice already. I think we have another one here halfway the drop. So it kind of, you create this new tagline just by sampling a sample and messing around with it. And that's what's making it fresh and original. Here for the build-up, we're looping it.
Good times.
Different kind of looping going on. So here's again the chopped up, I'm not gonna, you heard it, I'm not gonna say it. Okay, so that's one way of handling a sample, right? You don't have to use the full vocal, just pick the elements you like, be creative with it. If it would be a pop track, we would probably stay a little bit closer to the original, because it's already very well thought out with a verse, pre-chorus, chorus structure. But for a club record, you can go crazy and just freak a little bit with that vocal and see what happens, if it becomes cool or not. Another interesting part that really stands out in this whole record is are the basses, right? We have them here grouped together. Later on we have a couple more. Actually, layering basses is tricky, and but we will explain a little bit more about that later on. But you have a lot of low frequencies that could be overlapping, and that will, might cause your record to sound like shit. So be careful with that. We're gonna show a little bit more on the mixing process of that. But I think the one that stands out most is this one. That's a sub, sorry, wrong one. This one. It's actually the melody of the whole record, right? This is besides the vocal, the melody that you follow. So it's always important with such a sound that it stands out in your mix, but it's also interesting enough sound-wise. This one's actually really simple. We got 7 semitones on top and oscillator 2, so that's giving it this, how do you say that? The rough and harmonic edge. So I'm gonna turn it off now. Super simple saw wave. There's a little bit of LFO in here. At first it was something like this. Turn on the LFO. And you will notice that your stereo image as well as that chorus effect will start moving with this curve. So that's what making this one a little more vivid in a sense. To give it that more dirty edge, we added the 7 semitones layer. Super simple, just a saw wave. I'll A/B it for you.
And then I think this, because we sent it over, like we sent over this project, I don't know, 20 times to each other.
Yeah.
The first version is actually kind of, that's why we're talking about playing stuff live and playing stuff for crowds, and we made this version of Good Times like a year ago. You can see how many projects we did. And the first version that we actually made was totally different, and I don't know, it wasn't very. It was a good song, and it worked out pretty well in the clubs, but it felt like we missed the that's probably.
The first version was in 2023, I see.
There you go.
I think it's the same as this.
Yeah. Different key also.
Yeah, very different. People might actually know this.
Yeah, we played it several times.
I see Sina nodding in there. Yeah.
And it worked out pretty well, but we lost a little bit of the connection with the vocal in a way. I mean, it's fun to play and it works out pretty okay, but we were both convinced that we could make a little bit more like energetic, which fitted out more in our sets. We did a song called Sick, and it was kind of similar to this one, and we're like, nah, we did it already, let's try something new. So we changed up the chord progression, we changed up the key of the song, and now, that's why we did like 25 versions of the song. I think this one works way better live, right?
I cannot hold back. I want to see what this one is.
Oh, this is right. Yeah. This is Free Your Mind, and the first we also tried the vocal of Good Times on Free Your Mind.
Didn't work.
And Tiësto didn't like it, so.
Okay.
So
then you end up in version 30
or something.
Different.
So we were talking about the bass. So Lucas sent us over this version with this idea, and we're like, yeah, this could work very much, especially with this bass. Works nice, and then we have this sub, which is just the basic saw, and then on top of that all, we thought we could just give it a little bit more energy, and then we had this X bass mid, which is just a sample from Slice and then just chopped up in the right key, and that sounds like this. So yeah, just fiddle around a little bit with EQs. It wasn't. The sound was already there, and it sounds actually pretty powerful. I mean, it fills the gap in the mid section, lower mid section, which is just nice to give it that extra energy. So you don't have to get it out of the kick, but you get it out of the bass. This is the bass section. Then we just had, it's a group, but then we just did only an EQ on the group to give it a little bit more sub, a little bit more mids, and boosting a little bit of that high frequencies.
But those high frequencies, by the way, are something that we often get rid of in a bass sound, because you want to have your record
usually
very spacious and everything, and you want your lead sound to be popping out.
Yeah.
But over here, the whole bass section is the lead sound, in fact. So then
it takes the whole
you can even
spectrum.
boost it. Yeah.
So usually we would do something like this, which sounds nice. So we have more space for the leads or for the instruments, pianos or guitars or whatever. But in this case, like, the energy was nice and sounds like this. And then including the kick, which is just a sample with one EQ. Sometimes less is more, and that works out very well. And the kick solo sounds like this. I think it's from Slice. It's just a very good sample. And sometimes when your source from Splice or from whatever sample pack you use, or Serum, or how you make your kicks, when the source is good, you don't have to just adjust a lot on the sample or on the plugin. When it's good, and it sounds good, so don't do that much stuff. It's not like use 2 compressors on your kick, then it sounds better. That's
Also, yeah.
so
Wow.
sounds good. That's it, good.
Sneezing, yeah. Note that it's only minus 2 dB that you're getting rid of here. It's exactly as Steve says. The sample, nowadays most samples are very good. Stuff you get from Splice usually isn't horrible, at least. So very strange or very, how do you say that, extreme EQ cuts are usually not necessary. Like if you're being careful with everything, something of minus 2 dB, maybe minus 3, sometimes minus just a half are already noticeable differences.
We're very convinced that if you use your sample, then it should be already very good. Like you don't want to search for like a kick that doesn't work. So if we're getting like the solid bass of a song is, at least for dance music, is the kick and the bass, and if you like have to adjust lots of stuff on your kick or on your bass, then it's probably not good.
Yeah.
We did several, 5-6 years ago, we would just turn it down and we're like, this is good and this sounds probably better, and we're like adjusting 12 dBs on a kick.
And then you're missing something, so you start adding another kick, and it will only get more complicated.
Exactly.
And you'll mess up your signal. The only time sometimes that you are doing really extreme EQing is when you have like this sample, for example, that's maybe it's from back in the day, so the quality isn't that good anymore, or if it's too much oversampled, or somebody recorded this smash of a vocal at the other side of the world with in their cell phones maybe even, and it's just a vibe, so you want to use it. Okay, then it's probably a shitty signal, and you will probably end up EQing very extremely good. If the sample is good, if the source is good, just take it easy.
You will never see us like doing really heavy stuff on an EQ, because then probably meant that the song or the sample or the sound isn't right for the song. So that's the kick and bass section. Then probably want to talk about the breaks.
Yes, of course. So as we by the way, we also, this is one of these sections, by the way. We're just talking about if you play the record at maybe your bedroom DJ booth or in front of a crowd. It doesn't always have to matter, that you'll notice something is missing. And for this section, it's right after the main drop. Okay. These 15 seconds are something that we missed when we played it. So we added just something to break it open. You can still dance in this part, right? You just had a drop of half a minute, and we felt for this record that after 30 seconds you still want to be dancing. You don't want to go straight with breakdown. So that's why we added another 15 with there's some scratching going on.
Real scratching.
Real DJing. That we definitely didn't record, but it's just also a chopped up sample. So then we entered the break with a bang. But still hear percussion, right? People still need to be moving a bit.
Good times.
So we're noticing is that we have everything is quite monotonous in here. And here the bass starts moving again, so you create a little bit of peace and quiet.
Good times.
So the changes in bass and thus the chords are having more impact and are taking you away and telling the story a little bit more. It's all about those dynamics and changes.
Good times.
We always get a lot of questions about these kind of arpeggiators. So it's slowing down and speeding up again. We're using this in lead sounds a lot as well. I'm not sure if I think we're using it in Free Your Mind, for example, in the drop. I see somebody nodding, so yeah. Also in our readings for Steve Aoki, the show, it's also there. It really has these energetic rolls and slowing down and speeding up again. It's all this device here, arpeggiator from Ableton. Click the rate. You can do this, even Logic has something similar. And just make an automation. That's what you do here. So you just draw it in and it goes from fast. And when it goes up, it decreases in speed and it increases in speed again. And it just happens to use this chord for that arpeggiator because we drew it in here. And you just use the right settings. So it's fun stuff to play around with, and it keeps your record vivid.
Good times. Bring us out the good times.
We're still clapping, there's still movement in the record.
Bring us out the good times.
So we start building already. So we actually only have a 30-minute break where things are still moving, and then you start building for 50 seconds already. Moving to this epic moment. And this is something we created because we wanted the second drop to be a little bit different from the first one, right? So in the first drop, it's going from little fill straight into the drop, and in here we are having this overwhelming sound. And that's let's see, it's actually the same bass sound as we used throughout the track. That's a sub again. It's this one. But then we wanted, we recorded it, we resampled it in Ableton to create this. So that sounds a little bit different. The reason is that we got a flanger sound effect on it. It's a meta flanger from Waves. And because you want to have this exact rhythm, that's, you wanted it to be that tight in order to communicate well with all the other synths in there, like the sub that I just played. There's another bass sound. So what you do then is just like it used to be like this, right? Can you see that? Yeah. And then just chop it up
A little bit.
and make these little fades so it gets a rhythm and a punch. And that's
no clicks.
and no clicks, exactly, very very important. So then it becomes very powerful, very clean compared to. Yeah, that's where the rhythms are at. I think, what do we have here? Yeah, another garage kind of bass, very square based. Is that, have people installed Serum 2 already? Yeah,
Nice.
very good.
Do you like it?
Yes.
Better than version 1?
Yeah.
It is, right? We're all over it. It's just amazing how they kept on renewing stuff, and the presets are sick as a start point.
Sounds very good.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes. Anything else?
Yeah. Like it gets going when the heads, the percussion, like starts at this point. I mean, this part is pre-drop. There is this loop that we made with. Let me check. It's these are the drums. There we go. This is the head section. Now we made this loop, just the basic head loop, and then to give it that garagey kind of vibe, we made this speed loop. That's what we call it. Nice. And we chopped it up, and what we tend to do is nowadays is we make like stems for everything. So we don't want like this whole stack of sample because sometimes it just doesn't make any sense. Visually also pretty unstructured. So we just do our stuff with it, process it, and we just make one loop out of it so we can just see where the clap hits exactly on the millisecond. So this is just a pre-shift of the clap, which makes a big difference in your whole song. If we change this to exactly the rights to this, like this part, then it doesn't have the groove as it has right now. So that's a good one for us, at least to make it your whole project a little bit more structured. The speed loop was, I think, 5 head loops under each other, which is nice, but when you just make it like one stem, it just works nicer and visually and also audible. You can just make fades and stuff, just easier.
Also, exactly what Steve's mentioning, like with the fade thing going on, and also making stems right away, is that what we end up doing already before we make stems of our mix is if you don't need the sound anymore, like your record is progressing and you have a build-up, usually there's a lot of reverb on build-ups, right? To build tension, reverb, hands up in the air all the time, which is great, but if your reverb is only decaying a little bit after it's not needed anymore, it will already mess up your signal, which will mean that your kick will hit less hard because there's this little film of reverb on top. Same goes for delay. So what we do all the time is make automations where you have an Ableton, you have all the numbers, right? It starts from 10, 11, the yellow and the gray ones until 45. Just right click and then make an automation to mute them, or sample and just cut back the whole sample, just delete it, because you want to be sure that reverb isn't decaying anymore. Sometimes you have more than 100 stems, so if they all have a little bit of reverb, it will mess with your signal big time, and that's
especially before the drops actually.
Before the drops, but also if you're in a break, for example, and you want this fill or you want the sound to pop out, really be careful with stuff like this, because your record will become so much more powerful. If maybe do it once a day, you're working on a record, and just imagine that at the end of the day, every day, you go through your project. You'll see, are all the signals clean? Are all the reverbs turned off at the right time? Or maybe resample some stuff, because then you will have a clean project. Your mix will sound better. Your arrangement you'll be starting to think different about your arrangements as well. So that's something that we're kind of obsessed with that right now, and we wish somebody would have told us earlier that it makes a big difference, and it will save you a lot of time eventually.
So back to the heads. This is the groove. Nice reverb. That was just before the drop. This is the drop section. Now we have this vocal drone that we made out of the original vocal. Strings, just a little bit more atmosphere stuff. The vocal chop that we have right here, and this is pretty nice. It's like the answer on the bass. Only if you play it better. That's fun. Like these kind of small elements make the track a little bit more like dynamic and a little bit more special to listen to. We love like to make atmospheres and stuff. It's just always fun. Not very noticeable in the song, but if you just remove all the atmospheres, it sounds pretty boring in a way. So together, including the drums, let me just play the drums together with the kick and the bass. together with the atmospheres and the vocal drums. That's always nice. Then we have this tom. It's also an answer on the second part of the bass.
This is it's
Serum, right?
Yeah, it's resampled, but this is a tom made in Serum. What's really nice about this is if you listen carefully, you'll hear the pitch is shifting a little bit.
So it goes up.
That's also giving it a special edge, and it just keeps the record moving. Yeah. We do that with a lot of things, also with strings, right? If you have this high string that it's almost in every dance record, pitch it a little bit, maybe just a semitone, and then get back again. It will give a nice effect.
I think we did it in the
We
break.
have one in here, right?
Yeah.
Somewhere.
I think it's in the break section, just before the arm.
Yeah. So around here, then we have this vocal drone. What do we call it? Pretty sure it's there. String digital. 49.
49.
Oh, yeah, thanks. I'm gonna check that one out as well. And here you go. Shaper box. You know the drill. Also to add a nice rhythmic texture. But now I wonder what channel 49 is. Let's see.
Oh, nice.
Didn't pitch that one. Good have. Missed opportunity.
Even kijken, wat hebben we in de break nog zitten?
These are the good times.
Basically, yeah. Nice textures. Also, this is actually the record's very straight without. We have variations in bass, but there's not too much chords going on in the drop. No chords at all. So then you make it dynamic in the break, and you start looking for ways to make it harmonically a little bit more interesting.
So it builds good, but then we have this whole build-up section in the drums, which is, I think, loads of snares. We didn't want it to be like playing, building stuff, so we chopped up the. It was a little bit more fun to do. Serum. We use this one also in Free Your Mind.
Yeah. That's right. This is, by the way, something.
Copy pasting.
Yeah, definitely. Now, but it's a build-up synth sound that we made it ourselves with. You start stuttering some rise that you already have. So you have this classic rise going from low to high. You want to make it rhythmic. It gives a lot of energy. So without only being the snare drums, right? You have an extra rhythmic element, but then with a tone pitching up. That's always building some energy. So you can actually use Shaper Box for that, for example. Just get Shaper Box on a rise You can use a sampler for that and start recording it, resample it, whatever. But it's a very nice way to make original build-ups. But then don't copy paste it too many records because it will stop being original.
Yeah. Well, it's it's the same key as Free Your Mind, so
Yeah.
it makes more sense then.
Yes. Yeah.
The way we made this little drum loop of a breakbeat, which is small flanger at the end. With a meta. This is the one that Lucas was talking about.
Yeah.
This is the meta flanger.
Flanger.
Meta flanger from Waves. It's actually a very nice flanger, but yeah, you can use whatever. Flanger is nice. In this case, in this record, it's just everything is quite less is more stuff because, like as we already were telling, the bass is like full of spectrum, so you cannot add too much because then it will just sound messy. And I mean, if you will drop without the drums and just doing some crashes, it already will sound pretty powerful. So that's why you cannot add too much different stuff to this. We did some vocal stuff, we did some toms to make it a little bit more interesting, but that's actually it. And how it sounds is probably the most difficult part, because you want to pop out like the elements that you have as most that they can, and that's where, I mean, the bass sounds pretty fire if you play it live. So we can talk about how we created that. It's a sub, as we were telling. That's the lower frequency thing going on in this record. The most low, I think it's lower than the kick. That's this one. So sidechain. It's a different sidechain that we usually use because we want to have that garage stuff, garage sidechain, like really heavy, which sounds nice. This is good. It's the R bass from Waves, and I think we use it on almost every sub that we make. The R bass is it's a compressor, but also gives a little bit more of the frequency that you have right here. It's on 65. I don't think we ever changed it on 55. It's always on 65. I don't know. It just sounds good.
So a bit maybe.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if you can hear it very good, but especially, yeah, you can hear it. So it gets a little bit louder also. So it doesn't mean that it's better, but I mean the frequencies are just a little bit more in balance. So yeah, R bass, big tip for subs. We're getting rid of the high frequencies here by just a high cut. There you go. Then the second bass is the one that Lucas made. First of all, we get rid of the low frequencies because that's where the sub is. So combining them. This is probably the most heavy EQ that we did. It's like -6, but then on 12. It's I don't know. We learned it from a nice mixing engineer called. It's a nice trick to just like sometimes you're searching for the nice frequencies to pop or to cut or to make it a little bit more interesting. You just like the frequencies on this thing called Masterclass. We learned it from a mixing engineer called Kevin Granger. He's an amazing mixing engineer. He's using, like, he knows this. This is the Masterclass, which is like a classic vintage kind of precision equalizer, and it still is one of the best equalizers there is, in my opinion. We don't have the hardware because it's very expensive, so they made this Relab did this emulation on software, and this one is very good. And what we now use of this equalizer is only the numbers. And so you can see the frequency ranges here. It's 126, 148, 173, and these are the frequencies that we know if we boost this, then it gets a little bit more warm. So 200 is one, and that's where you can see we made those. If we do like the default setting on the on Pro Q3, 4. Oh, 4. Yeah. The default setting on the Pro Q4, like these are all bands already that we tend to use quite often. So sometimes we just get rid of this a little bit, and we can boost this a little bit, and we can get rid of this a little bit. These are those frequencies that we kind of use. I have this one still on to 4K, which is nice. And then I know this is like sometimes gets to, when it's too harsh, I just get down. When I need like some harshness or some more energy, I can boost it. It's just like some meters that you know, and you can work a little bit more faster if you have these numbers. I don't know them all from out of my head, but like the most used stuff, we know.
I actually printed this just on paper and I have it on my studio desk. So if there's, you hear at some point that around, I don't know, 400 hertz, there is some issue that you might want to adjust to. Okay, then where do you go? Like this Masterclass EQ setting that around, for example, I think 435 is one of those EQ settings. So I look at my paper, I look at this, and I look up for someplace, on the left, 435. Okay, then that's where I'll start adjusting. And that way you get a system. You're EQing using a system instead of using something.
It's just a help tool.
It's and you will start to work way more structured. And also here, same goes for this EQ. Don't EQ too extremely. Just go to 435 hertz and do minus 2.5 dBs and see what happens. It's a very nice guide, and over time you will start to remember those frequencies. But just printing it out, having it laying on your desk is a very nice help. And if, like what Steve just told you, have a couple of frequencies that you tend to use a lot. For example, is a record muddy, then usually 160 hertz is very often a problem. So why not save it as a default setting in your Pro Q? Still set it to 0, right? To 0 dB, but then you have the knob already and you can just drag it down.
Exactly. Makes it faster to work, and it's just a help tool for your ears if you just hear, okay, there we go, we need to use this one or that one. And we tend to use it now, I don't know, 2 or 3 years, and it works super fast. Because if you're in a duo, it's nice. Like I know when Lucas boosted around, I don't know, 400 hertz or 2K4. I just know what he meant, and maybe it's not the right frequency, and I can adjust, but I at least know what.
Or maybe not the right track.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? There needs to be a dip in the 435, but just not on the vocal, but on the chords or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's a nice way. It's structured.
Yeah.
So
there we go. Got rid of the low part because there's a sub, a little dip around 200, and a little boost to. Because this is also the lead, so we had to boost a little bit around 1200. OTT, I don't know, everybody probably knows OTT, right? Yeah, okay. We use it a lot. Probably everybody use it a lot. It's amazing. Don't overuse it. Well, in this case, we have always our upward and downward on 50%, not on 100. We both think that both on 100 and then doing like 3% or 5% is already too much. So you have a little bit more control. There we go. This one is amazing. It's Culture Vulture, it's also like an emulation of a classic one. We had the hardware, then we actually never used it. Now we have the software and we use it every time.
This is just too easy. Like,
Yeah.
the presets are really good as well.
Yeah.
Just if you're looking for this more distorted character, or there's one of my favorite presets is called Beefy Vocal, but I use it on lead sounds as well. Like, there's also an interesting way of thinking. Like, your vocal needs to pop out, so you use certain equalizers, or in this case, distortion or compressors. But you can also often use them for lead sound as well, because they need to pop out as well. So try it. Get Culture Vulture, try Beefy Vocal on your synths, on your vocals, sometimes even on drums if you really want them to smash.
Nice. We just, because the default setting is already good, we just turned a little bit on the drive. It's, I don't know, we just use it as this is on probably on 3 almost every time. Didn't use the bias and we didn't use the distortion type. It's just as easy as that, and it sounds super fire. It gets louder, so just get the output level a little bit down. Sounds like this. They're just like nice harmonics, not too screamy, but very like solid, and yeah, it makes it a little bit more expensive in a way. Another EQ, because we use the Culture Vulture and you get harmonics extra, so an extra EQ to get rid of those extra stuff in the low part. Echo only as an automation, and a Pro Q for dipping a little. There you go, 160. This is like exactly one of those stuff. At the end of the chain, we were listening to the song, and then we had like, this is something that we had to dip, and it was super easy, just do the me. And if you do that on every instrument, it makes it a big difference. Then the mid bass is, as we said, splice sample. Boost it a little bit on 180 and get rid of the higher frequencies. And because these are all like straight lines, like legato, which is nice, but then we had this higher bass. It's the garage bass that we also use just before the pre-drop, like in the pre-drop. It's a serum that is a not a preset, it's something that you made. In serum, again, OTT, probably the same as we did with the other bass, and just a little bit more EQing. Yeah, there we go. Getting rid of those, also the mid, because we boosted this at the other bass. So together. That's the old bass section. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Are there any questions? We've been talking a lot.
There's one. Yeah.
Please go.
Yeah, you guys talk about reverb and delay part less than more, in a way that it don't sorry for the words, fucked up the mix.
Yes.
Yeah, sorry for the words.
Oh, don't swear.
We're very sensitive guys.
Can you explain it a bit again, because I
Yeah.
didn't hear it completely, but
Okay.
it was
Yeah.
for me like, okay,
So,
how could
yeah, maybe make this like, if we what we talked about was doing the like we make an audio track of the, like, we resample it. You know what resampling is? So we make an audio track of a plugin, so then we make it audio instead of just using the
yeah,
serum.
I used Ableton as well, so I know how to
There you
do
go,
it.
yeah. If you resample, then you make an audio track out of the source that you're already using, and if you use the audio track or you resample, you just have the tail of the reverb right? Sometimes if you have a reverb on it and just before the drop or after the drop, you see the still of the reverb in your audio.
True.
That's where we want. That's why we wanted, like, we cut everything. So if we fade everything, so no clicks. So if you do that with every channel, delays, reverbs, and you just make an audio file, or as Lucas is showing right now, like the mixer button, speaker on, speaker off. If you do that with every channel or with every chain that you have, then your track gets cleaner. And in this case, for these kinds of tracks, it makes more sense. So the drop will hit harder because you don't have like 5 channels playing a small reverb tail after it. So if you cut it clean, or you just make sure that you make an automation of speaker on, speaker off, or your utility gain out, makes it way more, I don't know, pop out, especially during the drops. If you have 5 reverb tails into your drop, then the drop gets muddy.
Set out the reverb and delay, right?
Yeah, no, just on the audio.
Yeah, reverb and delay. But let me try and find you a couple of examples.
Because I know how to do, but those things what you show right now with the reverb delay is the thing, like, for me makes it different, like that it sound good, and then it's like, oh, it's like what you show. Like that's for me like the difference.
Yeah.
For me to make it completely like completely clean and big.
Yeah. So yes, that's. I think you're correct. The thing is, so this goes for everything that is decaying. So like a reverb is decaying, like you have a clap and it goes.
Yeah.
You have the delay, clap, 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 clap. But you also have, when you have a bass note, and that's this example, it's the same principle, but it's a different situation since it's not necessarily a drop or whatever. We're just cutting your signal to make it pop out and to clean it up.
Yeah.
A bass, for example, has a release, also a decaying factor. So you have, bass is usually not like gone, it's usually burn. That sounded ridiculous. However, I'm trying to find an example here. This is with the bass cut, and we cut it using this automation on the track on or track off. I hope you'll hear the difference. I don't know, I'm experimenting.
Yeah.
Okay. Then but the notes they're not till the end, right? They're not doing the whole thing. They're shortened, as you can see. So not like this, but it's like this. All of these are. So these should be short already. However, if I don't cut the bass like this, and I just leave it, that sounds very different from.
And also like what you talk about, the message keeps going on instead of like
exactly
the space and the cleanness.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So you have way more impact doing this instead of just. I mean, this is an effect in this case because we use it as a da, 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 da. But if you use this on every channel that you have in your song, then it makes more sense to. I mean, that's how you make. That's clean. Like if you wanted to make a drop hit hard, then you make sure that there is no decay unless it's a choice. But in this case, like we had like tons of reverb of all the drones that we had and the vocal stuff, and we're like, it doesn't make sense because the drop hits less hard, and we wanted to bang. And then we get rid of all the signals because how more signals you have in the drop, how less clean it sounds. That's actually what we tried in this particular track. It doesn't make, like if you have a progressive house song, like reverbs make atmospheres and it makes noise and it gives it like a feeling. Sometimes you need that, but in this case it's like very straight. As you can see, like hold on, you can see the reverb there, the small, the crash. Even the crash is a fade.
Faded a bit away. Yeah.
Because we needed to stop there because there is another different part coming, which we think that's important. So less crash, more of the other part. If we would have a longer crash, then the other hi-hat thing, what we wanted to pop out a little bit more, isn't like it's affected by each other. So that's why we try to make audio stems of it and try to see what is happening in the song,
Yeah.
instead of listening. Because if you're listening to a song like for, I don't know, we are as we were speaking about, we're on version 30.
Not a good example.
We were on version 30 or whatever, and we just worked so hard on this song, like we cannot hear it anymore. If you're listening to a song for 6 or 7 hours in the studio, you're gonna miss stuff, which is super normal, because you just, like, it's a train, you're just working, you're gonna miss stuff. It's a creative process, and if you're missing stuff, then it's pretty important to print these stamps into an audio file, so you can see also what is happening instead of only listening to it.
Yeah.
It's an extra tool to make it a little bit more clean.
Yeah, you want them to overlap less.
Yeah.
So I have another example, and I hope it's clear after that. And if not, keep on asking, we'll find another example. But in here, it's this stupid tape stop. We cut it, it's like this, but if you expand the sample, it's like this.
Yeah, this
The difference is almost
yeah,
inaudible,
I-
but we cut it
yeah.
because here, this is where this part starts. And it just hits harder if we cut this part. And that's the same thing for delays, reverbs, everything. Just
Exactly.
print it, record it, cut it, or use stuff like this, turning it on and off and making an automation with that.
makes more sense now, especially like with the sample you show, like that it takes too long time. I know that from my own
Yeah.
trainings as well.
Yeah.
Like, whereas like then gets messy and the
Yeah.
cleanness is gone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not completely, but
Mhm.
this is harder than you keep it going on.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Cool, awesome. Thanks for your question.
I've got two questions, one on sidechain, one on stuttering. You said you're using a garage style sidechain in this case?
Yeah, well, it doesn't, the name is not garage style, but I think it feels garage.
Feels a little more.
Yeah, it's like pretty heavy, like whoop, whoop, instead of the usual, like, I mean, especially for basses, we doesn't use this one. It's usually in our type of songs, or like we prefer, it's just a tasting. We usually use the classic sidechain, which is this one. But this one is nice and tight, and you can just shift it a little bit towards the sample of the kick. But I don't think we did it in this case. But I think this sounds more, including all the hi-hat loops that we have at the moment, and the bass and the kick, because it's a pretty short kick. But then, I mean, we shortened the kick pretty much. If you combine everything and use a different sidechain, then it's not garagey anymore. It sounds a little bit more as just a normal song. So, let me just do that with every sidechain. You'll probably understand what I mean. There is this, like this. There's a. Yeah. It's okay, but it's not as nice as I think this or this.
Pumping more. It
Yeah.
has that pumping garage
So
feel.
yeah, sidechain makes a lot of difference. It's not like it's not a garage.
No. It also depends on what kind of kick you're using, what kind of bass are you using. Also, in this earlier, I showed you in Serum that we have this automation on the D tune, right, to make it go from mono to stereo, wah, 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 all the time. Stuff like that also has an influence on how your sidechain sounds and how it works together with your kick. So it's maybe if we use a different bass,
Yeah,
another type of sidechain will make it sound
Yeah.
more garage,
stuff.
if that makes any sense.
Thank you. And the second question is, you have an automation on the bass group, which
Yeah.
I believe is also, I'm not sure, but I believe it's also for stuttering. And if this is the case, why? What is the reason that you didn't use Shaper Box in that case, but did the the mixer channel down on the bass group?
Sorry, I didn't get the question again.
If we go on the bass group, there is
Yeah.
an automation on the mixer, the whole
Oh, yeah.
channel.
I think it's the one I just showed, right? For the example. Don't you mean that one?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, this one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so the reason that we use that instead of shaper box is that same goes for many sidechain plugins. But they are sometimes a little bit unstable. So you reopen the project and you need to shift everything a little bit.
As I did with the Kickstarter, just
yeah.
Like I sometimes I mean it's an amazing plugin, but you can check the kick starts or the bass is on the first. So you go. This is Kickstarter. If you play. The first note starts here.
There's a little gap in the beginning, right?
If you have it, like I resetted it, if I turn on the sidechain now, it's not stable enough because I used it on my sub. It's also on the first note, and I dragged it a little bit towards the first point that it starts. And I see that it starts right here. So just a little bit of shifting towards the first note. Probably this, and then it sounds more stable. That's where
it's a timing thing.
It's a timing thing, CPU thing, which if you use like full projects or a lot of plugins, then your CPU gets a little time difference.
Yeah.
And that's why we use it in the Ableton.
That's more
stable.
It's more precise. So the moment that we are doing tweaks like this, so whether it's resampling and cutting or cutting with on and off on your track, that's when we are really diving in the last 10% of the record. So then you want it to be as precise as possible. And then this is a good way. I think that resampling it is maybe even a little bit more precise than you're really sure. But you still want to maintain some flexibility, so resampling everything, especially with everything grouped, it will make it difficult to tweak after if you change your mind or have some other adjustments. So, but this is very precise to do it that way.
It's the same thing, but like we love to do stuff manually instead of let the plugin do it, because if you do it manually, you know it's always it's always stable. That's always like sometimes we tend to do a sidechain by ourselves. So the bass, we make an audio sample out of it, so we resample in Ableton, and then we just make fades, we resample it again. That's what you can see with the mid bass. It takes a little bit more time, but you just know it's stable. You know that it's exactly on the right time, it's exactly on how the kick and the bass should work with each other. It's sometimes if you have time left, it's a good one, but it takes forever. But it's a good one.
The reason for this, by the way, is your computer, if you're working with MIDI and every track is sending MIDI information to a synthesizer, routed through plugins, compression, EQing, another compressor, distortion, whatever. Okay, that was one track, and then do that times 100. Those are that many calculations that your laptop is absolutely having a very tough time, right? So that's why these small differences in timing, that's what's causing that. If you have audio, it doesn't have to go. There's no MIDI signal going anymore to your synthesizer, no compressor, maybe a little bit, but not the whole chain anymore because you resampled it. So you're just making it easier for your laptop to do the timing properly. That's basically what's going on.
Thanks for your question.
Yeah. Thank you. Any other questions? I think there were a couple in here.
I had a question about vocals. Such a good vocal, good times. How do you fix it with the rights?
Good, that's a very good one. Yeah.
We don't know. No.
Fix it with rights? What are you talking about? Exactly, yeah. So, no, of course, a very good question. So, our management actually gets in touch with the original publishers. And the publishers, they're in touch with the original writers of the record. So in this case, people who write stuff like this, they can tell you, can you use it or not. If you want to do a master sample, so you're actually using the original vocal, then you would also have to contact the original artist who sang the song. Then you're using that specific sample. If you're doing it in a publishing way, you will have to do a re-sing. So you'll have somebody else sing it. That's what we did in this case. Somebody else actually mimicked the original artist. Yes, there are companies that do that. A couple of them are based in the UK.
Yeah.
Replay Heaven, Google it. They do a lot of. They also helped us with our Michael Jackson sample in 2015. They had somebody who sounded like Michael Jackson. Great, let's do it. Yeah, so that's how that goes. But then still, also in the Michael Jackson example, you would still have all the original writers approve of, or it's not the original writers, but their kids, if the writers passed away. That's all stuff. It's an ongoing thing. And there's always samples being cleared, and our management is always working on, getting the goes, getting the green light from writers and family members and whatever to make it possible to sample something.
Like I think this is the original vocal.
Putting in a good time.
Yeah. So this is just ripped from YouTube, and then we make a song out of it. That's how we start.
Yeah.
Like we usually start something like that. Is if we have an idea of a sample, then we just search for the a cappella, or we just get the audio from YouTube or whatever, and then we start building something towards we can send over to the original owners of the song.
And then they say they like it.
Exactly. Or they say they hate it.
Did you have it?
Sorry?
Did you have it?
Yeah.
Many times.
We had once we did a song with Blackstreet called No Diggity.
Oh, yeah.
This is a great story.
So we sent over the first version of the song with the YouTube vocal, and then I think like an hour later we received an email from Chauncey Black, who is like the frontman of Blackstreet, and he said, "Who are you guys, and why did you touch my Grammy Award winning record?" We're like,
Don't touch it.
"Don't touch it." We're like, "Okay, we're probably not going to use that song, or we're not going to release it." Then I mean, 2 weeks later, I don't think he listened to the song.
It was just like, don't touch it. Don't touch my Grammy. Yeah.
Then he texted us, or he emailed our management, or Spinnin back then, and he sent away. I just heard the song. It's actually pretty incredible. Let's re-record
That's
it.
collab. Yeah.
So then they flew in from Houston to re-record all the new vocals, which was pretty amazing. But then, that's sometimes you have that, and sometimes you just don't have a reaction at all, which it's all fine because these are the legal owners of the song. So it's just an idea of us to do something with that, and if they like it, then it's fine for us. If they don't, then we're good to go to play it in our sets. And sometimes it works out very well, as with the Michael Jackson sample, No Diggity, and this one is also. Yeah.
Fun fact: this Chauncey Black from Blackstreet, he actually took his Grammy to a meeting at Spinning Records. He had it in his bag, put it on the table, and he said, "I want another one." True story. Yeah.
Yeah, it was
Good work.
yeah.
It was a good
It was a
song,
good
good
song.
hit song. Yeah, but not Grammy worthy again.
That was a weird way of showing.
Yeah. But great guy.
Yeah, he's a nice guy, absolutely. Yeah. He had his big sunglasses and we're like, "I want another one." Like, "Oh, okay." Whatever you want, man. Thanks for a good question, buddy.
Thank you.
I saw another couple of questions, and probably the last one, then we'll do the
Let's
drop.
start the demo talk because it's still 4.
Yeah, okay.
So-
Yeah.
Well, one more or two more questions, and we're.
Okay.
Yeah,
Sure.
just if you could show us your master chain and kind of your thoughts behind it.
Yeah, sure. The force behind our master chain. Well, there we go. It's incredible, right? First of all, if your mix is shit, you probably won't get a good master. So that's the first thing I want to say. We tend to use this chain for quite some time now, and it just works. Sometimes we change up a little bit. Sometimes it's just 4 or 5 songs, kind of the same. We start with a gain right before we just hit the limiters and the compressors. It's just because we work pretty loud in this one already, and you want to have like a little bit more of headroom to just adjust stuff like EQing stuff and leveling stuff and compression stuff. So utility, that's in Ableton, it's just a gain right, minus 12 dB. So yeah, I can show you what it what it does, but it's like very loud, way too loud to make it interesting. Very, very compressed. So
it all gets pushed in those compressors, limiters on a way too high loudness. So
like
smash it.
the input is at least as important as the output. So please be careful with how much level you put into a compressor or a limiter. So this is minus 12 dB. Now we have the width, which is a nice trick to get before your whole master chain and before everything gets pushed a little bit more to the side. So this is on 110. Like 110 is probably the most that we use. If you use it on 150, you will lose a lot. Like mono sides. So 110 is fine for this. It's a big difference, like if you play it live, especially.
Yeah. Please know that also in this case, because it's not linked to a certain band right now, so it's doing the whole spectrum. So also your kick and your bass are going to be widened a little bit. That's a little bit untraditional. Many people say everything above 80 Hz, 120 should be mono. And that's not entirely true. You can push it a little bit, and you'll get more power and space.
And your kick will have a little bit more space too.
Yeah.
Like it's less interfering with your bass. Then the endless smile. It's
very sad right now.
Yeah, it's super sad.
Not building to drop.
And then we check. It does not very much. Yeah. We only use the soft version, so big news. You can go yay. You probably know this, right? Yeah, it's a nice one. It's a very good plugin to create a little bit more hype towards the drops. Then the first compressor, it's the glue, and that's one of the things that we changed last year. We had this SSL compressor, which we used quite some time. This is actually a very good one, but you had this analog knob, which is creating a little bit more warmth, which is nice. But it was just a little bit too much for us, and we were searching through our catalog of compressors, and I think we both thought this is probably the best that we can get. It's very clean, it's a good one, so we got rid of the SSL one, and now we use the glue compressor, and it's a glue compressor from Ableton, and that's emulated from all the glue compressors probably. So attack to the right, left, we have this release. It's always the same for us. Like this just works in our how we insert it towards our master chain. We never used this, or it's always on 0.3 or 3, and the other one's always on 0.1. Ratio on 4, and then let me show you how it sounds. Obviously less loud because it's not doing very much.
Needle is hardly moving, right? So it's and that's what you're controlling with this utility gain in the beginning. It's just getting it back so your needle isn't working too much. Your compressor.
Because if I use, I would place it on minus 18, whatever. It's moving, and it's already compressing pretty hard. And then I just also need to multiband compression or my limiter or whatever. It makes it already pumpy too much. So less is more in this case. A little bit of the needle moving is absolutely enough for this one. Then EQing a little bit. 24,240, just a little bit.
These are also Masterclass frequencies.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
So the EQ that we showed, that I printed on my desk, same thing.
Yeah, getting rid of stereo under 30 Hertz. Yeah, and a little bit of the side boost on 5K.
You do this with right click, right? For the people that don't know, you can right click.
Stereo placement, sides. sides. And you can also boost the mids or whatever, but this just makes it a little bit more to go towards the sides, which is nice for this one. Multi-blend dynamics only on, in the drops it's on 33. It's actually the OTT version of Ableton, like the Ableton version of OTT. Anyway. And we use it differently in breaks and in drops because it makes your whole track a little bit more dynamic. So we use it harder in the break section, because if you use it in the break section a little bit louder or harder, I mean, there's less information there, no kick and no bass. And in the drops there is kick and bass and lots going on, so less compressing it sounds. You can push this very heavy. So that's why it's on 50. And in the drops, it's just gluing everything a little bit more together. It's a very nice one. Be careful with using it too loud. I mean, it's a setting that we used quite some time. Then the first limiter, and this is always a nice one, the Pro L2, loud and punchy, 5 dB on it. It's a very good limiter, and we always use the loud and punchy preset, basically. Then an inflator, not doing anything in this case.
Yeah, so because we have push loudness on the Pro L load, right? Yeah.
So we sometimes, depends on which track, but this is a track that you can push pretty hard. So then we use a trick. Leave it, the inflator, we didn't use it in this track. Sometimes it's nice to have a little bit more of this on the end of your chain, just a little bit to give it a little bit extra push. So we didn't use it. Pro L is quite soft, 5 dB instead of like the -12 that we did. Then a utility, just a gain right, plus 2 dB into a sausage fattener. And I know what you think, why a sausage fattener, but it's just something that sounds very good. So it gives that gritty stuff on the, especially on the mid-low section, which you want for these kinds of tracks. I'll show you. This is off. This is on. It's a very nice one. So 2 dB into the sausage fattener with a utility gain. Don't push the fatness, don't push the color, don't use the gain. Only a utility with 2 dB into the sausage fattener. And then after a small utility, doesn't make any sense, but it's 0.1 dB. And then after the final clipper, in this case, ozone maximizer, which we always use. I use 11 now, and Lucas still uses 9.
Both works.
Both works. Character on 0 because then it's clipping. IRC on 3, balanced, and the ceiling on -3 because that's like the latest. That's our final. That's how we bounce it. And then if you make a final bounce, get this one on bit 24. Low. That's how we send it over towards Spotify or Beatport or in our sets. So this is actually the master chain. It's nothing super special. I mean, as we said already, if we turn it off, it still pops. It's a good mix. Just compressing a little bit more, making a final product and some small EQ changes. If you had to do really heavy stuff in your EQ settings, then please go back to your mix because then something is not right.